Namaskar, I am Dr. Ranjan Kumar Malik, Dean Department of Fine Art, Chitkara Design School, Chitkara University, Punjab. It's a privilege to have the another guest artist, noted art historian, curator, academician, Dr. Ashrafi S. Bhagat ma'am. Welcome to Chitkara ma'am.
Thank you very much for
Ma'am,
having me.
you are as an academician, as an art curator, art historian, author, so many things. How you look at the Indian Indian art along with the Western influence? Before that, we also want to know your the journey of this art career.
So thank you very much for having me here, Dr. Ranjan. It's actually an honor to be here at this university. My journey as an art historian actually began after doing my PhD at MS University, Faculty of Art History and Aesthetics. That's when I started looking into theories of art, and the research actually helped me.
Right.
But of course, I had joined the Department of Fine Arts
Right.
as a student. I did my BA there,
Right.
MA there, and MPhil while I was teaching there.
Right.
Then became mandatory for me to take a PhD, which I never wanted to do it. But
In which year? Which year you done the PhD?
My PhD 2005.
Okay.
So more than 2 decades now.
Yeah.
And that's why actually, when I was forced to do my PhD, that I had to look for topics. I mean, where is my research? And it was at one of the courses, that was refresher courses, which every lecturer has to do in Madras University, that there were a few speakers who were talking about Indian folk art traditions.
Right.
And that's where my interest actually began. And then I began to look into what was the modern in Madras. And that's when I came upon that there has been something called Madras modern, which has never ever been documented. And that's where my journey actually began. So, and in that way, I've come a long way. There have been many people who facilitated me. One was Sharan Apparao of Apparao Galleries, who actually initiated
in
me
Chennai.
In Chennai.
Chennai.
Who actually initiated me into writing. Of course, I worked at the Department of Fine Arts, Stella Maris College, Chennai, one of the most eminent institution in Chennai, and the only institution which has the Department of Fine Arts.
Fine Arts.
Of course, there's a Government College of Arts which is there, but besides that, this is the only institution. It was a 3-year degree course as just BA Fine Arts, which I then, along with my colleagues and encouragement from the principal, that it was made into a 4-year BVA course, Bachelor of Visual Arts. So, I mean, my writing actually began with Sharan Appara, who asked me to write a catalog on a few artists for which she was holding an exhibition.
Right.
After that, she introduced me to the Hindu newspaper in Chennai, Madras, and I started writing for them. I wrote for them for nearly 10 years.
10 years.
After that,
along with the regular academic practices.
Yes. By 2012, I was retired. After that, in the meantime, I was getting a lot of proposals for writing about the artists in the catalog, as catalog. And that's how my journey started. And then I wanted my thesis to be published, because nobody had an idea that there was something called modernity in Madras and who the artists were. So one of the artists whom I had researched, S.G. Vasudevan, I went to him. I said, I want my thesis to be published. So he says, why you want it to be published? You do a project with NGMA in Bangalore, hold a show of all the artists, and the book, PhD, your thesis will be published automatically. And that's what exactly happened. Then DAG Gallery in Delhi, they had a huge collection of Madras artists. They invited me to curate a show for them in Bombay. So I curated a show for them in Bombay, and they brought out a fantastic book on the Madras modern, which I, also did a little more of, research on various other artists, which I was not able to do it because it was a limited thesis with number of words. So in that way, my journey as a curator started.
Yeah.
So I was a writer, I was writing for the newspaper, I was writing for individual artists. Then the curation came up, and after that, providentially, I'm blessed that nothing has stopped for me. And I hope
And
that it will
I
all
will show
continue.
you, show the all the my viewers. These are few books written by Dr. Bhagat, and many books. When I visited his studio on a resident at Chennai, so many books. Ma'am, thank you so many things, because for the curation in national, international level, and so many good articles I have read about you, and so lots of the Indian publications. You know, the lack of the Indian authors
India,
are in Indian art. So thank you, ma'am, doing the good job. And ma'am, you are also associated with the Cholmondal
yeah.
so
It was
many
part
years.
of my research.
Yes, and you promote them, you write about them, you titling their work. What are the journey of these things?
Cholamandalam Artist Village became mandatory for me to research
Right.
because Panikar, KCS
Cases
Panikar, who
Panikar,
was the
yes,
principal of the Government College of Arts,
Madras, that was
yeah,
Madras
in
Art College.
Madras,
Yes,
which is a colonial
colonial area
established
style.
institution in 1850,
Right.
one of the oldest, the first to be established. He realized that there were a number of talented, creative students, but
Right.
once they left the institution, they had no place to, I mean, they had no space where they could work and sell their works.
Right.
And this is what, gave him an idea. Why not set up an artist commune, where all the artists can be together and they can exchange ideas, work there. And what is most important about Panikar was that he encouraged handicrafts.
Handicrafts and
And
the
that is
traditional
because,
art
because the
to get the
craft,
collect the money, and
no,
yes,
craft workshops
craft
were
workshop.
already running in the institution because Madras the school was more of a craft oriented
Craft-oriented.
curriculum. It was only D.P. Roy Chaudhary who introduced fine arts.
Right.
So it was on the basis of this, realizing the talent and that they cannot continue their profession, craft helped them. So he says, you continue doing crafts with a contemporary sensibility, sell it, and from that money generated, you
Right.
continue with your exploration of the art. And that is how Cholamandalam Artist Village came up in 1966, April 13th to be precise.
And this year they are
And
going to 60 years.
60 years they
Year
are
journey.
celebrating now. 50, 60,
60
years.
years.
60 years they are celebrating. So that is the importance of Cholamandal. Cholamandal was not a style, it was not a school. It was an artist commune where the
Yes.
artist had a space and a studio
To practice their own work.
to work,
Yes.
practice their work. And at the same time, they had an outlet of handicraft.
Yes.
So they could make those handicrafts in
And
their
sell-
spare time
sell it
and
to the
sell
public.
it. But slowly their works also picked up, and there were many buyers. And that is how by 90s, many of the Cholamandalam artists, were doing very well within the Indian art scenario. Otherwise, none of the works were getting sold. Who were buying the works? Only the embassies and a few people, who had a knowledge about art. And in Madras, it was a stranglehold of music and dance.
Yes.
Never of visual arts. And as far as modern art was concerned, it was beyond them to understand. There were no art critics who would write in the newspaper. If there were critics, they were only writing about design and handicrafts.
Oh.
So the public itself had no idea, they had no knowledge what modern art was all about. In Madras, it was Panikar, it was
Panikas.
S. Dhanapal.
Yes. Ah.
It was D.P. Roy
D.P. Roy
Chaudhary, who
Chaudhary.
became, when the secretary of Lalit Kala in 1954, he pushed considerably artists from the south. And of course, when KCS Panikar became the secretary, he saw to it that the artists from the south were given the visibility. So that is the importance of Cholamandalam Artist Village.
Ma'am, this is all about the Cholamandal. From this, now the maximum in Cholamandal artists are established in abroad the India, across the globe. So, how do you think Western influence is more influence to us in Indian art practices?
Western art influence, as a matter of fact, has been there from the 1st century BC. It came from Gandhara. When the first
Gandhara
Buddha
style. Yes,
statue
yes.
was made in the human form, anthropomorphic form, it was, derived from the classical Greek.
Right.
And it was the statue of Apollo that served as a model for them.
Right.
So, from the 1st to the 5th century AD, we have this Greco-Hellenic influence coming into India, though simultaneously in Mathura, indigenously, Buddha statues were made.
Right.
But one could make out the difference because, it was very realistic what the Gandhara art was. There was a lot of realism. What the mantle which Buddha wears is actually a Roman toga,
Okay.
which covers one shoulder and it goes across the other shoulder with all the folds very realistically done. Then it is only under the Guptas that the Sarnath, we have the
Sarnath,
famous
yes.
Sarnath Buddha, that we have a complete indigenized representation of the Buddha. After that, if you see, there has been a lot of invasion. Kushans were not Indian.
Kushan period. In the Kushan period.
Kushan period, yeah. So, that influence came in. Then Mughal time, maximum Western influence came in during the time of the Mughals.
Right.
And that is, they were traders, they were Jesuit priests who were visiting India, and especially during the reign of Akbar. There were so many of these Jesuit priests coming to India to, spread the Christianity. They used to bring along with them the Bible. The very famous is the Polyglot Bible, written in many languages.
Many languages.
And it was illustrated. And Akbar was a great aesthete as far as, painting was concerned. And he realized that this is something different.
You are telling about the period of the Akbar period.
Yes.
The Bible came and
Bible
also
came in the 16th century.
16th
Akbar's
century.
period is from
Right.
1556 to about 1605. During this time, there was a lot of increase of trade. People were coming in. Traders were bringing in paintings. They were bringing in prints. And these were finding its way into the court of Akbar. And from Akbar, it went to his atelier. And there were artists who were Persian. We can't afford to miss out the Persian influence, which actually shaped the Mughal art along with Indian tradition and along with the Western tradition.
At that time, we have the court painter.
All the court painters.
Court painters.
The first two important painters were Abdul Samad and Mir Said Ali, which Humayun brought especially from the Safavid court of Persia. And he had them here, but he died. So they were, absorbed into the atelier of Akbar. And then they trained the Indian artists. Indian artists, when they came, they brought in the tradition of, miniatures, Jain miniatures were there. And there were other miniatures also. They brought that tradition. Western tradition came in. So it was a very beautiful, aesthetic assimilation of the Persian, the Western, as well as the Indian traditions in Mughal art. So you find how Western art, keeps filtering in. And of course, in the 19th century, we have company paintings, where the British officers, who were in India, belonging to the East India Company.
That is called the company Saili.
That is why it's called as a company painting, because they were the patrons.
And they bring it to India.
And at this time, patronage was not available to the Indian artists because Mughal Empire had collapsed. There were only the feudal courts which were running there in Kangra, Basholi, Lucknow, in Bihar, what is that place? Murshidabad. Those were the places where, it was happening. But otherwise, most of the artists were actually left on the street. So when the Britishers came, they realized that Indian artists had a very good hand of drawing. So they taught them certain aspects of Western representation. They taught them how to do chiaroscuro, light and shade. They taught them how to use perspective. They taught them how to, do foreshortening, aerial views, because they wanted them for topography.
Different camera angle. First time
they were able to.
Before that, only the flat front angles and the side.
But it had already come in Mughal art.
Mughal art, yes.
So the artists were doing it intuitively. They didn't know what the laws of perspective were. And the same thing spread into the Pahari schools also, Kangra, etc., particularly Kangra, where you see a lot of perspective. You see the sky being represented, which otherwise in Persian art is only the golden representation. So, the British patrons, the company officers realized that here is a talent to tap. In addition to that, there were many artists who were coming from England. And they realized that in India, it was possible to paint the Indian countryside.
Right.
Not only the countryside, its flora, its fauna, its ethnicity, its architectural heritage. And they travel from north to south. Like the Daniel brothers. Then there was Henry Salt, George Chineri. Quite a few of them were there, very good artists. They started making paintings. They went back to England. They started making aquatints out of it. And they used to sell it as portfolios. And that is how India was sold to the European market as an Oriental exotic. India became Oriental exotic. So that's how, the West, that is how Indian artists got trained. But the most important dimension of Western art influencing Indian art in the 19th century, bringing in modernity, was Raja Ravi Verma.
Yes.
He adopted the oil painting technique and he used the Indian themes, classical Indian themes. And he knew, though nobody taught him, he observed the Dutch painter who was there, Jenkins, in the court of Trivandrum court, and he learnt oil painting. And he realized that with that oil painting, what kind of rich textures, how the, the
color mixing, different,
not only the textures, but the shading and also the, to bring out the character of the gems. And also the personality of the sitters. He did a lot of portraits. And that is where, we find Western Indian art, Western art.
At that time, ma'am, in Raja Ravi Verma paintings, we can find so many Indianness along with the little bit of the Indian goddesses figure, and that the lalitas, so many things of Indian
that
style.
Is what, that is where Raja Ravi Verma stands at the crossroads.
Yes.
He absorbed the oil painting because that is something which was totally alien to the Indian tradition, because we were only working in tempera.
Tempera style,
watercolor based. Water was the medium.
From the Calcutta.
Water, miniatures.
Miniatures and
water was the medium. Then we find that oil painting coming in along with that, oil, linseed oil, all those other, mediums coming in, and Ravi Verma knew exactly how to use that because he used to continuously experiment. And in Ravi Verma's backgrounds, if you notice, which incidentally his brother painted, you find a lot of Western influence.
Yes. Background, realistic drawing, and so many activities are happening. Yes, nature also.
And in the court of Trivandrum court, he had also seen a lot of European neoclassical paintings of the 17th, 18th and the 19th century.
Right.
So that neoclassical influence also came into his art. That is why you find his works very dramatic. It's at that particular point when the drama is happening that he was able to
and
capture.
Light and shadows also, not the dramatically light and shadows.
He knew exactly how to manipulate all that. And that is how we have the beginnings of modern Indian art. But then what happens at the turn of the century? Ravi Verma gets invisible. The Swadeshi movement comes up in 1905 with the partition of Bengal. And that is when in Bengal, there was an awakening that there has to be now a fight against the Britishers. For Swadesh. For autonomy or political autonomy. And here also again we have, it's not a Western influence, but rather it is the Eastern influence. Working with Abanindranath Tagore, Japanese watercolor technique. Okakura, one of the greatest philosophers, was there at Jorshanko, the house of all the Tagores. He was invited by Rabindranath Tagore, and he taught
Shantiniketan, Calcutta.
Yes. No, not Shantiniketan. Jorshanko is the residence of the Tagore family. Where the entire family lived. Rabindranath Tagore, then his nephews are Abanindranath Tagore and all the others, Sunai Devi. And it was here that he came into contact with the wash technique. Which Okakura introduced by sending a Japanese artist from Japan, Taipan, I remember just one name. And he taught Abanindranath Tagore the wash technique of literally dipping the paper in the water, taking it out, semi-dry, and then
layer by layer
keep on working
yes, and the
till
color,
it
yes,
gets the strength of the color
color
required.
is
But that strength of the color was not like Ravi Verma. It was very, very subdued, very sublime, and this was established by Abanindranath Tagore. So
Tagore.
we have not only the Western influence, but we also have the Eastern influence
Eastern.
coming into Bengal. So that is how you have the impact of the West and the East.
Ma'am, along with that, I want to discuss how the contemporary art practices. Now, what is the recent trend is with the Western style or Indian, mixed method? What do you think?
See, once we got our independence, we came under the tag of post-colonial.
Right.
Now, post-colonial itself became very theoretical. It became another philosophy because we were the third world nations. So, under post-colonial, it became very, very important that we establish our own identity, authenticity.
Correct.
And that is how Madras art movement became a regional modern. It absorbed Western. Panika was the one, who was a visionary. He realized that one cannot marginalize Western influences, and he combined it with the vernacular influences. Then came the first, this was only in the 1960s. The first was the Calcutta group, who was to rebel against Abanindranath Tagore and his very anemic kind of paintings. They said, why should we only be deriving from literature and history? We should look around the contemporary world and then paint. And that is how we have Chittopadhyay Upadhyay, Chittaprasad Upadhyay, Zainul Abidin, who actually documented that Bengal famine in 1945 or 42 it was. And there it became very, very expressionistic. That was again a beginning which marked a contour of a different posture with the modern Indian art. And they realized that one has to absorb from the West. So Cubism knowledge was there, that was absorbed. They formed the Calcutta group. In Bombay, progressive art group happened with Souza, Raza, M.F. Hussain, Ara, Bakre, Gade.
All.
These are the 6 founders of the...
After that also Delhi artist group.
Delhi artist group came only in 1950. That is the Delhi Shilpi Chakra came in 1950. Yes. Then only in the 1960s, you have the Madras art movement.
Madras art movement, yeah.
In the meantime, in Baroda, 1950, they had started the School of Art. MS, the Department of Art History and Aesthetics, as well as the Painting Department. Now, that created again another kind of a stylistic direction within modern Indian art. So, you are looking at Delhi group, you are looking at PAG, you are looking at Calcutta group, yes. You are looking at Baroda group. And then, we were the last, as a matter of fact, in Madras to, achieve our modernity. And that was made possible only because of Panika. And all the administrative heads who became the principals of the school had no idea about art. It was only in 1929 when he was appointed, D.P. Roy Chaudhary was appointed as the principal that fine arts was introduced as a subject in the curriculum with painting and sculpture. After that, it just went on, very well. So, here the modern influence which came in was, like the progressive artist group, they said we want nothing on the table of what was there from Bengal or anywhere else. No tradition, no literary sources. So they started looking towards the West and they were inspired by Cubism and Expressionism. In Madras, it was mainly Cubism and Post-Impressionism that seemed to have, inspired them. Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Cubism to a certain extent. And then it was combined with the regional traditions. So that is how the Western influences came.
Came in India.
Today the world is global.
Yes.
There are no boundaries. There are workshops, there are residencies, there are art fairs which is happening. There are binales, there are trinales, there is documenta.
Yes.
So all of these, now become, part of the global trends in contemporary art.
Rather than the regional,
so
country-wise.
There are art fair in Dubai, art fair in Switzerland, Basel, art fair in Singapore, art fair in Hong Kong, in China.
And Delhi also.
And of course, in India, we
yes.
do have it for the past number of years. We are having the art fairs. Mumbai, now there's happening in Bangalore.
Bangalore.
And art fairs today are most relevant for an artist to get their visibility, get the clients, get the collectors, meet the various other artists from
and
across
artisans,
the world.
yes.
Yeah. So today art fairs are far more relevant, and there's no such thing as now Western influence or the Indian influence or the Eastern influence. The artist is free, to think and to create the way he or she wants. And the best and the worst part of it is it's the virtual reality of the internet.
Yes.
And today it is AI.
Yeah.
Where is the hand of the artist now?
You are, as you discussed from the morning till time about this AI and the virtual realities and the traditional art, the contemporary art. What is your experience at Chitkara University Department of Fine Art?
Well, I've been here just for a few hours. But what I have seen of it, it looks like the students are given a free hand.
Yes.
They're given a free hand, but guided well. And, from the presentation they made, that's what I have drawn my conclusions about it. Well guided, given a free hand, exploration in various techniques and mediums, exposure,
yes,
experiences through workshops, visits in various places, inviting, eminent artists and various other, specialists in their various fields, and the students working with them. I think that's the best thing which can ever happen, and that is how the art education should be. That is where the student is able to grow.
Sir, ma'am, this is all about our honorable visionary Dr. Ashok K. Chitkara sir, honorable Chancellor, and Dr. Madhu Chitkara ma'am, honorable Pro Chancellor and founder of this Chitkara University. Their mission vision is about this either it is science or technology or traditional art practices, designing, others along with the other subject. Everyone should be student oriented, career oriented, and should be deeply knowledge with the technology.
Hands-on experience.
Yes,
hands-on. Here in your department, there is a hands-on experience.
Yes.
What I have seen from their presentation, and it is only the hands-on experiences which actually help the students. When they're actually working, with the specialists, they are watching, they are absorbing, they are internalizing, and then they are recreating when it comes to their own projects.
We are always try to give our best practices, best professors, globally professor, national, international professor, along with the local traditional artist, art historian, and authors for the bachelor degree of fine arts, bachelor of master of fine arts, and the PhD art and design to have all the creativity along with the intellectual as a personality development. Thank you, ma'am, to being with us at the Chitkara University and enlightened us so many things from the traditional art to the Western influence to the contemporary art practices. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
And thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you and, at least giving my ideas on what it was. Thank you very much.
Thank you.